Okay, as everybody continues to trickle in here, we'll go ahead and kind of get things started. So hello everyone and welcome to the Lake Stevens Chamber of Commerce March Luncheon. Today we have our next in our continuing series of Connect with Brett, town hall style meetings with the City of Lake Stevens Mayor Brett Gailey. We'll get to that in a second, but first I've got a couple of announcements to go through. Just a reminder of our mission here at the Greater Lake Stevens Chamber of Commerce to build a vibrant business community. To that end, our Government Advocacy and Action Committee has begun to form, and we're working on defining the committee in a way that benefits the members and the business community at large. Our membership committee has begun to look at the structure of our members, for our members and our membership levels and such, and the benefits that go along with those, to help provide the best value for our members and our business community. And our events community is deep in planning several events, from a community shredding event, which I'll talk about in just a second here, our chamber auction coming up in May, which moved to May this year from February, and we're laying the groundwork for our 4th of July event in downtown. These opportunities and others for you to become involved in your chamber are available now. If you're interested, please reach out to me by email at director@LakeStevensChamber.com or give me a call here at the chamber office. I want to take a moment to thank our gold investors for 2021, Ace Hardware of Lake Stevens, as well as Community Transit. And I see we have a representative of Community Transit here today, Jim Yanks here. Welcome. Also our silver investors, Waste Management, Heritage Bank, Wells Fargo, and First Financial Northwest Bank. Thank you to all of our members and our investors for continuing to support the Greater Lake Stevens Chamber of Commerce. A few reminders of events coming up here. Next week is our monthly networking after hours on the Zoom platform. We'll be on Zoom from 5 to 6 p.m. next Wednesday, March 17th, from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Oh, I said that already. This is an opportunity to meet leaders of the Lake Stevens business community in a relaxed atmosphere. Grab your favorite after-work beverage and join us for some conversations. The following Tuesday, join us for Morning Mingle, also happening on Zoom. This is an informal drop by for a quick chat to get your day sort of an event happening from Tuesday, on Tuesday, March 23rd, from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. via Zoom. We hope you'll connect with us and the business leaders of Lake Stevens area in one or both of our monthly networking events. As I mentioned before, we have a community shredding event coming up next month. Join us Saturday, April 10th for Shred Your Stuff. We'll be in the Lake Stevens Marketplace parking lot between the Wells Fargo and the Taco Bell with a shred truck and an invitation for the community to bring out their items that they would like securely shredded. We'll be accepting 3 to 4 banker box sized boxes per car from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we're looking for sponsor partners to help us make this event happen. We have sponsor levels from our $1,500 presenting sponsor, which I know it says $2,000 on the screen. You can ignore that. $1,500 presenting sponsor all the way down to $200 associate sponsors. Hopefully this will be in reach for anyone who's interested. If not, please reach out to me at the chamber office for more details, but do so soon. Our our sponsor deadline is Wednesday, March 17th, 1 week from today. All right, I'll stop talking now and bring out today's featured guests. Ladies and gentlemen, Brett Gailey, Lake Stevens Mayor. Brett, welcome, and again, thank you for joining us and making yourself available for this series we put together. It's been fun so far, and we always a good time having you in. So thank you again for being here. Oop, you're muted now.
All right, well, thanks for having me. It's fun to be here. I always enjoy talking to the chamber and just talking about the city. Monica, I see you're here. That reminds me of something I should talk about, so I shall. Let me make a note real quick so I don't forget. Right, so hey, appreciate everybody coming around. Good to see everybody. There's some faces, most faces I know, which is great. I think how I'm going to run this, I'm going to pull up a map of Lake Stevens because I like my Army officer self likes to do things on maps. So we'll pull up the map and talk about what's going on downtown over this year and next year. And then I want to talk a little bit about 91st Street. I think that might be a continuance of maybe our previous discussion, and then a couple other little topics, and then open up the floor for questions. So with that, let me share a screen. Share screen, bam. All right, so we should have the city of Lake, or the Lake of Lake Stevens, city of Lake Stevens. I'm going to zoom in here to downtown so we can talk about what we're going to be seeing this summer with North Cove and a couple other exciting things that are happening. So to orient you, here's City Hall's right here. We have the new North Cove Park. If you haven't been downtown lately, you know that you would not know, but you now know that we're doing North Cove phase 2, which is over in this area, and that includes some walking trails as well as a handicap accessible playground and an open another covered area, open covered area for barbecues and get-togethers, whatever you want to. And we as well have a really cool deck that's right here so that you can sit there and look out on the lake, or maybe we can have VIP areas there, whatever we want to do, especially once we start having music again in the park, be just a great venue in there. So this is the mill, the new building we built, finishing up this last year. So what you're going to see happen over the next summer, or over this summer, is the library and the museum building will come down. And currently, as of we speak, except for they're on lunch, and I'm going to run back over there as soon as this meeting's over, this row building right here is being moved. This row building right now is actually right about here as we're turning the corner and getting it moved through this parking lot, and it will end up right here in this, where this house was. We poured a pad and it'll sit on top of there, and that will be the new home of the row club. After that project's done, then we'll look at removing the Butler House and then moving the Grimm House, which is part of the museum, over here to this corner. And we'll move it and we'll turn it so that it faces towards the park, towards the memorial. And then this summer we'll extend 18th Street, and we call it Mill Spur, and it will turn into a festival street. So a flat, wide street that we will have the great opportunity of having Sarah's famous, I'm going to start calling it Sarah's famous farmers market downtown.
It's all appropriate. Yeah.
Appropriate, right? So we'll be able to expand the farmers market. It won't be able to happen this year because it'll be under construction, but for the next summer, we'll be able to use that as a farmers market area. I'd also like to just offer that up for anybody's ideas on bringing events downtown and using that wide street to host them. I like the ideas of a ice skating rink during the winter, whatever we can think of to bring people downtown and enjoying not only the lake and the park, but also our businesses downtown. So you'll see that happen this summer. We have identified a developer who next summer of 22, will build a 3-story building right here along Main Street. So it'll abut to the new Festival Street, and it'll go down to the Baptist Church here. And we're still talking about what that building will consist of. It'll be for sure a mixed use building, preferably with retail on the bottom, office space in the middle, and then a 3rd story. We're trying to figure out, or they are trying to figure out, if they can get a restaurant on top of the 3rd story. There's a lot of logistical issues and extra building requirements with that. So we'll see if we can pull that off or not, but that would just be a great amenity to downtown and building out downtown. All right, so there's that. So that's the plan for downtown in that area. Do I have any questions on that, on what I just talked about?
Did you say where the library's going?
The library is getting moved, temporarily moved over to where the old police station was, right here. And that should be temporary. We're still trying to work out putting the library and the city hall up on the Chapel Hill property. We just have to figure out that cost problem of doing that sort of a building up there. So we're working through it. So the library will move to the old police station, and the museum, the items in the museum will temporarily move here to this building, which is an old fire station, which was our evidence room. And we recently vacated that. So we'll temporarily put the things in there. And then more than likely next summer, in addition to that 3-story building, we see a 2-story museum building going right here next to where we're going to move the Grimm house. And then the museum will move back over to the park area. Something to keep in mind for the commerce folks is one of the things I'd like to add into the museum as an attractor is a local Lake Stevens products section in that museum, whether that's apparel, Marilee Moore's glass, whatever we have out there that's produced here in the city. I'd like to be able to put that in the museum so that people who want Lake Stevens apparel or Lake Stevens logoed sorts of items or art, that they'll not only have to come down to the museum to get those items, but then they'll also enjoy the museum and also enjoy downtown.
Question. Did you, I came in late, but did you talk about where the parking will be? If you're going to be putting in a building right there where there is generally parking available in that downtown spot?
Parking's tough. There will be some parking behind the building and along the side. And then Main Street gets will obviously have a section done, so there'll be some parking as well on Main Street, much like we have in front of the mill.
Okay.
But yes, I am always up for ideas on parking. As soon as we can, if we can get the city hall moved out, that obviously becomes a very prime spot to put parking. It's the bane of downtown.
Yeah. Thank you.
You bet. Who was that? It didn't pop up.
I'm Adelaide Arbogast.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks.
Any other questions for downtown, what we're doing there? If you haven't noticed, one of the great things so far about downtown is we haven't seen the flooding that we traditionally see, and that is because our public works has done a great job of partnering with Fish and Wildlife and cleaning out the outflow channel from the lake. And just cleaning out that vegetation alone has increased our capacity by 22%. So that's why you're seeing actually the lake being lowered even as we're getting water. So that's a good thing. We're not seeing the big lake that we normally see here on 20th Street Northeast, nor the flooding along 125th, as that water is all dissipated quite well. We've got a little bit more work. We have a little beaver buddy who gets into these culverts and likes to dam them up, and we'll get through that though, and that'll help increase some water flow as well. We had a couple dams back here. So if you don't know, the water flows out of the lake over here underneath Main Street as another way to get out. It goes under Main Street and it comes in behind here, and then it flows alongside 125th, and then it goes behind Sahara Pizza and into the outflow channel. And there was a couple of beaver dams back in there that we cleared out about 6 weeks ago, and that's what brought down quite a bit of the flooding off of 125th. So yeah, good stuff. We'll keep working on that. We're working on a design right now for a new weir. If you don't know what a weir is, I didn't know, I had to look it up. A weir is what controls the lake. And right now we have a little cement weir that's right about here in this corner, and we control the lake via 2x4s. So we want the lake to go up, we put 2x4s in. If we want the lake to go down, we take 2x4s out. It's very, very scientific and very technical. So what we want to do is move the weir up here to the mouth of the outflow channel, and to better control it. And possibly what we can do, Fish and Wildlife would also like to see us widen the outflow channel. And I think that our idea is if we can get some grant money along with widening it, hopefully doing some sidewalks or maybe a boardwalk along there as well. I'm not promising that. That's Brett's dream. So we'll see if we can make that happen. That's downtown. That's my ideas there so far. Any questions there? Let's talk about Hartford. Janice's ears just perked up, I know. So Hartford, we're working on right now trying to find some money. One of the problems, if you don't know about Hartford, is so this is our Hartford industrial area. So we have this as an industrial area, and we just annexed the Machias industrial area, which is over here. One of the problems is we don't have sewer and we don't have broadband infrastructure within our industrial area that would attract light manufacturing, other sorts of businesses to come into Hartford. So we're working on that. We're working with our congressional folks to try to identify some money to build out our industrial area, provide better transportation through it, as well as the infrastructure we need to attract further folks into the industrial area.
Mayor, it's Janice, and you knew that I was going to ask a question.
I know, Janice.
Can you show me? I haven't looked at this in a while. Can you show us where sewer cuts off now? So it comes from 92, right?
Where what does, Janice?
Where sewer?
Oh, sewer.
How close is sewer to that Hartford corridor? Is my on both ends? Do you know that off the top of your head?
I do. It's something I look at often. So sewer in.
You have such a great life, Mayor.
I do.
That's fun stuff.
It's glorious. So sewer ends right here at about public works.
Okay.
On the south end, and then it ends up here with the toy garage area.
Okay.
It ends there. Now there is a section of sewer that goes into Evergreen Sanitation. It's a private section that starts about here and it goes into the Catherine Creek subdivision over here. The problem we have is there's a hill right here. And so figuring out which way to flow sewer becomes the issue and becomes the cost. If you don't know this about Lake Stevens, sewer in Lake Stevens is super, super expensive because you have to think that, one, we have a lake in the middle of the donut hole. And so sewer that's on the east side of Lake Stevens has to flow downhill, uphill, downhill, uphill, downhill to the wastewater treatment facility, which is over here. So it's very costly when you talk about the energy costs to get people's crap from one end of the city to the other end, right? So does that answer your question, Janice?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate. I just hadn't asked that in a while, so appreciate it.
Yeah, one of the things that we do, we just put out an announcement, I think today, for a code enforcement officer. As a retired police officer, I know that if you want to correct problems in a city, you don't call the police, you call the code enforcement guy. He has some great powers. So we're going to hire a full-time code enforcement officer. And my focus for that officer is to do some cleanup down here in Hartford, especially with our smells. We have a lot of cannabis smells, and the sanitation, Evergreen Sanitation gets some smellage as well. So that's something that code enforcement officer will work on. As soon as we get, you have to actually have your smeller certified by the Puget Sound Air Quality Board or something like that. And that's actually true. So we got to get a certified smeller to do code enforcement. So that's Hartford. Here's where I'm at on Hartford. Anybody with a great idea, please let me know. We're trying to figure this one out, crack this nut with Hartford and Machias on how we can attract more businesses in there. And anybody who has a good idea, we would love to hear it. A project we have, you might see that's going on over here on 99th. 99th and 4th. We had a lot of flooding right here. This is really deep. This is probably from road to the bottom is probably 20 feet. And that filled up with water. And is Chrissy on? Oh, I can't see if Chrissy's on. This is Chrissy's in-laws house. I think I think it's her in-laws house, and their basement flooded. So if you drive over there right now, you'll find that the road is closed. And I'm amazed as mayor, I'm amazed by Public Works and the stuff that they can do and just construction and how it all works. But the problem we have is the culvert underneath here has collapsed underneath this street. Well, when you talk about the culvert, it's probably 15 feet below the street. So if you drive up there right now, we've torn up this guy's backyard, and we've torn away these trees, and we're going to plant I don't even know what it's called, like a reverse boring machine. But we essentially put a boring machine over here, and we put a whole new culvert over here, and we pull it through the old culvert, and we don't have to dig up the road. So it's kind of fun to. I've been watching what they're doing, and when they start pulling, hopefully maybe Friday, I'll go out and watch it. It'll be interesting. So that's a project we have going on 99th. One of the things I do want to talk to the chamber about is 91st Street. One of the things that we're working on, you'll see this summer, you will see phase 2 of the WASDOT 9 and 204 interchange project. And what phase 2 is they'll add a northbound lane from Marketplace north on Highway 9. And you'll end up doing a right in and a right out here at 4th Street. And that's phase 2. And then what phase 3 will be is you will see a roundabout at 9 and 204. And then you'll see a roundabout built between Les Schwab and Big O Tire. So that'll include this Vernon Road. There'll be a big roundabout placed here. So you have 2 consecutive roundabouts on Highway 9. And then a third smaller roundabout goes into this wonky little intersection here behind Walgreens and Wendy's, right? So I don't think I have a quick access to show you what that actually looks like. But when I originally looked at it with Eric, my public works guy, I said, Eric, who threw spaghetti on the map and said this is a good idea? Because I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to be interesting. But after he walked me through it for about half an hour and talked about how much more efficient that you'd be able to get between and through Highway 9, you know, for example, right now, if we're in Safeway, we're stuck forever, right? We got to bounce off walls until we get kicked out finally down Davies to come here, to go through a stoplight, to go, you know, north or south or wherever we're going. So now with this roundabout idea from Safeway, you could actually come out, enter a roundabout and either go north or south or come across on this side of the road. Same with this direction. If you're at Walgreens and you want to go Safeway, now you wouldn't have to go to the stoplight and a stoplight and then get stuck into the Safeway problem. You could now go through this roundabout, and then into Safeway. So I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's gonna take there'll be some learning curves and there will be a lot of social media memes, but ultimately over time, I think that people will get it, understand it, and realize that it's much more efficient than sitting at a stoplight for 2-3 minutes. Even if you've got to stop by the intrepidatious driver who is taking their time, it's much faster than waiting at a stoplight for a while. So we'll get through it. So as that gets built, one of the things I'm talking about with the city council is what does this area look like after those roundabouts come in? Let's start envisioning what we can do with 91st from, say, Wendy's all the way to the Ram or just past the Ram. And how do we capitalize on a new look of the city, a new transportation look of the city, and inspire what is really a tired kind of an area of our city to renovate and to bring even more value into the city. So those are some things I want to throw out to this group is what are some ideas that we can do to incentivize these local businesses after that those roundabouts are in, to create maybe more density, more mixed use. I know for me, I like to think of this renovation as a very pedestrian friendly street on 91st, and creating some mixed use density in here where we're going up, 4 or 5 stories, doing some mixed use retail, office, and residential sorts of spaces in here that would create some more density and create some more walkability around these businesses, and it's also closer to the transit center as well for those who would transit. So those are my ideas on it, but I'm always open up to other people's ideas on what could work better in that area. And it's something we're talking about on the city council. Any thoughts there?
Brett, I have one. This is, again, Janice, and I'm sorry to ask a second question in this meeting, but years ago, and Kim Daughtry's on the call, and I hope that he'll help me, we had looked at a plan in Planning Commission to do kind of like a Mill Creek-esque curved Main Street downtown. And I know that that was scrapped for the other plan that you just showed us, which is the right thing to do. But how about bringing in, I'm trying to think of, was it Trask that was the visionary on that for Mill Creek? I can't remember off the top of my head. But how about doing something that is, that slows traffic down, for one, that has kind of a curved treed area, so that it is something that people could walk and go and have a drink at the bar and then have dinner at the next restaurant, kind of a thing. But all of these, if you look at this, everything is so straight. You're in your car to go here, and then you're in your car to go here. And I'm thinking that if anywhere in Lake Stevens would accommodate that, it really is that little stretch.
Yeah.
Kind of make that its own feeling.
Yeah. Janice, we're thinking the same thing. You know, for me, I think when these roundabouts go in, right now 91st gets heavily traveled with a lot of cars. But the reality of it is, once those roundabouts go in, you know, Market to 204, Market to 9 really becomes your route, your fast routes, right? And so turning this into a pedestrian style street, like you're talking about, traffic quieting, not as wide of lanes, place where people can walk and enjoy, the stores and shopping, I think really becomes the vision for that area.
I just know it wasn't that expensive, and making the road curve was the big key word. That was like cracking the code there. And so I don't know. I just always thought that was interesting, and I think that this is the right place. I'll quit talking. Everybody else can talk now.
No, Janice, that's good stuff. I'm with you. And you know, as part of that, one of the things I'm working on, I would like to try to do this next summer. As many of you know, I'm working on what we're actually calling the West Side Trail, the Power Line Trail. That goes from, we'll do a first section this summer from 20th Street. We'll probably only get to 12th. But that will include a running biking trail and a new dog park right in here. And then we'll just continue that trail north along underneath the power line. So, you know, if you incorporate that into that idea as well, Janice, you know, people from West Lake Stevens can get on their bike or walk up into this pedestrian walking friendly sort of a mixed use space. I'd really like to see this next summer trying to do something with this piece right here under the power line, some sort of an attractor, micro radio cars, some sort of an attractor in here that would bring in folks from outside of town that would then be able to go to the new brewery that's going in, the new smokehouse that's going in, and also, Rustic Cork, and be able to spend some time and money into these stores by bringing some sort of a park attractor into this area. And then when the Everett Clinic gets built up on Soper Hill, that would open up this building that might be able to get scooped up to do some sort of mixed or retail in that area as well that would complement a park amenity over here. It's, government has so many few things that it can do to stimulate economic activity, but I think a regional attracting park such as these that we could put into these spaces to help stimulate some growth into these businesses would be great.
Hey, Brett, I've got a group of people that have been looking to build here in Lake Stevens for the radio controlled climbers, the truck climbers and Jeep climbers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they're looking for a place to do it. That'd be a great place to have that. And we could probably make some other things for radio control out there also. And maybe some other things that take little space, but no place to do it.
Kim, what I think as I look at this, I'd really like to kind of quad this section out. Yeah. And one quad is what you're talking about. And maybe another quad's a small splash park. And maybe another quad is that we're constrained by the power lines, right? So trying to find, 3 or 4 little niche park that we could stick in that would really attract a diverse folk into the area. Yeah. So any ideas on the, please shoot me an email if you don't want to speak up now, but we're just looking for ideas on that. It's to do those sorts of parks like Kim's talking about. That's easy. That's cheap. That's some public works guys for a couple of weeks and it's a done deal, right? So
Yeah, and the people that are wanting to do the climb park, radio controlled climb park, they'll bring the dirt, they'll bring the bodies and they'll build it.
Yeah. So just trying to figure out, trying to look out 2, 3, 4, 5 years, what this envisioning what 91st looks like, and stimulating some new growth into that area. How much time do we have, Matt?
You're good. You got a good 20 minutes left.
Okay, so I want to hit you guys with one big idea that I want your ideas on. Monica, I'll hit your little dealio right now. So I think next weekend, maybe the weekend after, gotta look at my calendar. The great folks at Mitch Roll over here at Loop Fitness, they volunteered to do a service project. So we're gonna do your covered bridge right here. We're gonna go in for a weekend, do a good cleanup on it, power wash it, replace boards, do what we need to do, and then we'll come in on another weekend, on a nice weekend, and repaint that covered bridge there and spruce it up. We'll get rid of some of these trees that are over the top of it and are cutting down our sight lines as well. And there's some graffiti on it as well. And if you know me, I detest graffiti, so we'll get rid of the graffiti. So that'll be a fun project to do for that neighborhood. Okay, here's an idea I have that I need input on. So we have a problem in Lake Stevens in that we don't have a lot of sidewalks to walk. I live over here in West Lake Stevens, and this was all annexed from the county 2009, 2008, whenever it was. And the county never built sidewalks out here. So I go running out here, and it's you take your life in your own hands running out on these little roads here. So sidewalks are a big thing. The problem with sidewalks is they're so expensive. And I will give you for example, this little section that we did a couple of years ago, from here over here in front of Hillcrest, that was a $650,000 sidewalk project, that's about our sidewalk budget a year, right? So as I look at sidewalks, I did some researching around, and one of the ideas that I saw that Nampa, Idaho does is they have sidewalk local improvement districts. So they have their city divided up into districts, and they rotate each year who wants sidewalks. And then they do a collectivized contract for that district, and it reduces the cost for one big contract to do all the sidewalks or sidewalk fixes. So I thought, how could we apply that to Lake Stevens? And one of the things I'm thinking about is creating sidewalk local improvement districts that are delineated by elementary school boundaries. One, to organize those districts, and two, to get skin in the game for those districts to look at what sidewalks do we need to safely get our kids to school. So, for example, let's say you have all the folks that go to Hillcrest Elementary, and I'm not sure exactly where the boundary is, but let's just say it's over here. And we create a committee within that district, and they look at and nominate areas that need sidewalks. And you know what? Maybe that's every single sidewalk in that district. They want to just sidewalk everything, or maybe it's just the ones to get to school, whatever that committee decides. And then we figure out what that cost of those sidewalks are. Let's say it's $5 million to do all the sidewalks in that district. So that committee would put together the proposal, put together what would be done, and then we would put it on a ballot for just that district to vote on, to decide whether or not they wanted to, let's say and don't quote me on the numbers because we're working on that right now, but let's say it's 5 cents per thousand to sidewalk out your district on your property taxes. Vote yes or no, right? And just let you locally control where your money is going to go on sidewalks to build out safer streets and to increase value of homes with more sidewalks in an area. So that's something I'm working on. It's an idea. Do I have any thoughts there? Gus, I see you stroking your chin. Got the lawyer thinking on that one. What are we thinking there? Anybody?
So I'll pipe in. Amy Beth, superintendent with the schools.
Amy.
Certainly, we would always love more sidewalks, particularly around schools. We have within a mile walking distance. Our buses don't get funded unless they're within outside of a mile. But so many of our schools don't have walking areas. That mile circle around there are not considered safe walkways. So we certainly are all for it. I guess the concern that I would have with your plan is first, anytime we talk about a levy or, accessing money per thousand, there's competition for those dollars all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'd really want to talk about that. But the other thing that I really worry about is equity. And obviously there are some neighborhoods who, have high priced homes, and perhaps folks in those neighborhoods can't afford to be assessed for a sidewalk. But there are many other neighborhoods that simply wouldn't be possible. And so I really worry about equity with a plan like that. And I would love to see something like that looked at and factored in, because there are obviously a lot of neighborhoods that might not vote for something like that, but they certainly could use it.
Yeah. Mary Beth, those are great points. They're points I've thought about. And one of the first things I'm doing is we're trying to do a property valuation via elementary school boundaries, right? Like, so do I have an unequitable situation between, where Hillcrest is and where Stevens Creek is? I don't know. So one of the things we're working right now is getting the GIS of the school boundaries and then plopping that over a property valuation to see, do I have a disparity between districts? And those are great points.
And I think that you do, not only with property value, but we could certainly help you out with that, Brett, just simply knowing incomes of folks in those areas and students that are on free and reduced lunch. And there's a huge disparity between our buildings and the number of students that are on free and reduced lunch. And we already have that information.
Well, that'd be great to overlay with that property valuation and really get down to what the reality of it is, right? I like that. What are other thoughts?
I don't know that.
I'm wondering too, if you're gonna take districts, people from in those districts and have them decide what they do. Is there going to be one area of the city that's going to have everything done and another area that's just going to have a few done because that's all they chose to do? Is that going to be an issue from a visual standpoint, or just a thought there? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the way I envisioned it was you would create a committee within each of those districts. And you're right. One district might vote no and another district might vote yes, and you might see more sidewalks in one area than the other area. Yep.
You could temper some of that with some specific guidelines saying you want a certain percentage done or whatever at least, and then say so that we all have a minimum amount across the city. But yeah, that could be an issue too. So just a thought there.
Yeah, Yeah. And you know, the good thing about it as well is there are opportunities. There's some state grants and some other grants that are out there that if a little bit of money is raised, you can leverage a little bit more money in grant money. So that creates that opportunity as well.
Would those districts then, like say a district that you guys are talking about that has, you know, has the lower property values or what have you, that may be in more need, could those specific districts go after more grants? Or are those grants generally aimed at just like citywide type things? Do you know? I don't know.
They end up, well, the city would end up being the ones going
Sure.
for and looking for the grants. Maybe there's a balance in metrics if we see a disproportionate equity level in one district over another that the city could maybe try to figure out. I'm just thinking about, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, oftentimes grants are, you know, usually based on need, and if we can show that the area that the money is going to definitely has a higher need versus the general need of the entire citywide, that could be beneficial as far as getting those grants.
Yeah, yeah. Any other thoughts? Well, that's one I'm working on. It's still in the ideation phase, and still trying to figure out, you know, those numbers and seeing if it makes sense. And I've reached out to a couple other. Spokane has a similar districting, so just trying to get creative with the sidewalks thing, trying to get there. So, and provide options for citizens, especially to be able to control money locally. That would be a good thing.
That's kind of good. Just as an initial comment, that's good to hear that this kind of concept has been done elsewhere, and maybe we can look at how they've done it in other places and see how they've overcome those issues that you guys brought up. That's good to know.
Yeah, you know, in my studies so far, I'm not sure that the issue that Mary Beth brings up had really came up when they were forming it, right? So it might be something we might have to tackle on our own here, which is fine. We can figure that out. I think that's all the topics I wanted to talk about. What do I have for questions?
Can we get the good old fashioned Costco update?
Oh, good old fashioned. I can't believe I forgot all about Costco.
You're on.
Okay, Costco. So, Costco. So Costco, if you don't know, Costco is going to go right here. As of my meeting last Wednesday, we are still a go. Costco goes right here. 91st, we're currently building the extension across 91st on the south side of 20th Street Southeast. So 91st will come along here. WASDOT, which is my weakest link right now, is supposed to build me a roundabout right here. And off that roundabout goes 24th Street that hooks up with 91st. And that will be that road system that gets you to Costco. Right now, everything's a go. One of the problems we're running into is costs are moving up right now. It's really interesting. Over the last 6 months, we were getting really, really good bids 6 months ago, and now the bids are starting to increment up, both because of labor and because of materials. So we'll see how that goes. But yes, Costco is still going. We're still in negotiations. I think the last time I spoke, I talked about our Everett water line issue that we have and the ability to put at least a parking lot on the water line. And we're still negotiating with Everett on what we can and can't do on the water line areas. That's a big, we need to figure that out as more developers parcel up these properties along the south side, wanting to bring in retail. What was that?
Juanita, Brent, is there a newer concept site plan than the one that was in the Herald? The Herald's got April 2nd of 2019. Is there another concept plan that is available?
Was that off the little hit piece they did that was horribly
Yes.
written?
Yeah, and it shows that roundabout and it looks deceivingly like an elevated roundabout. So just trying to get some clarification on that.
This roundabout being elevated?
Yeah, it just, on their drawing, it just looks like it is. I'm not sure that they can actually do that, but I'm just wondering if there's a newer site plan that is available for print.
I can get you one, Juanita. I think that that's probably pretty dang close though, that one that was in the Herald. But let me see if I've got something different and I'll send it.
Okay, thank you.
One that was in the Herald came directly from Costco's site,
Yeah, I think it's pretty up to date.
but they're not going to elevate the roundabout. That's not elevated. That's at grade.
Yeah. So what we might see, just so you know, one of the things that we have to do on this roundabout is a culvert right here. And we can only do that culvert during the fish window, which is July through September, mid-July, mid-September. So if anything hangs us up on this project, it'll be being able to get into that fish window and doing this culvert. So what you might see is Costco get built. And if we can't get this roundabout done this year, you might see a right in, right out until we can get that roundabout built next year. WSDOT is being a perfect government agency on this one. So
That's a politically correct answer if I've ever heard one.
yeah, we've got a lot of, anyway.
I have a quick question, Mayor. Are there any projected dates that we might expect to see city buildings open back up to the public?
So, good question. It's something that we haven't really tackled because, well, you tell me, is what we're doing now not working?
Well, I feel like it's been a year. I just wondered if there might be some dates that we could expect. Like, for example, for yard waste, I normally would go into the city building and go pick up vouchers so that I can just pay for my yard waste as I go. So at this point, I don't feel like I have access or know how I would approach that, like to go take care of that. Or before, if you had maybe a question at the police station, you could just drop in and there would be somebody, behind plexiglass that you could chat with. So, or drop off medications that needed to go to the, medication recycle program. So I feel like that kind of thing has been cut off.
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's also something that it's part of the phasing from the governor also that we have to somewhat comply with. But really good question, Monica. Let me work on that. That's a good question. What other questions do you have for me? I didn't even talk about the annex, Janice. Are you proud of me?
I know, yeah, I was gonna say, you got off, nobody asked you about the annexation, so. Here, I'll ask you, Brett, tell us about the annexation meeting last night.
So we had a good meeting, a very productive meeting last night on annexation, and the city council, the county council, and the sewer commission decided that they would like to take it to an advisory vote on the annexation of the east side and the southeast side of the lake. So we'll put together a vote. We've got some logistics on that. Hopefully we can get that to a vote in August.
Very
Will
good.
we be doing Aquafest this summer?
That's a Kim question.
Okay, I gotta go. I'll talk to you guys later.
He's out.
Yeah, we're planning Aquafest. We're not, I say we're planning it. I wouldn't say that we're putting a lot of work into it right now because there's so many things up in the air. Most of us, well, everybody on the Aquafest board wants to do Aquafest. So we are really trying to get an Aquafest going. I've got the circus has called me and they're really interested in getting back up here. They want to be up here. We're really watching what's happening downtown because the landscape down there is going to be reshaped by the time we get to Aquafest. Hopefully we can just have a flat area right there for for the festival street when we get to that point. That'll make it a lot easier, as Janice could attest to. She's been with Aquafest for years and years, and every time you change something down there, it really wreaks havoc with Aquafest. But we definitely want to do it. We're planning on doing it. As Matt said at the very beginning, we're also planning on doing a 4th of July event down there. The chamber is, and I think that's going to be a good test for what's happening down there, and whether we're actually going to be able to have larger groups. Farmers market went off pretty good, so we don't think there's really going to be a problem. But kind of depends on the phasing and what the governor has to say. But if we don't plan it now, then we won't have it. So we're starting to ramp that all up.
If I could just add to that, the Aquafest, Miss Aquafest program is continuing, and the community service that they offered continues.
Yes,
and that is on May 15th. And so if you know any young ladies that want to enter, I know that they're taking applications up to April 15th.
Right. Yep, that is true. And they are going to have the pageant, although it's going to be the same thing they did last year, where it's basically one person at a time, and they'll have that at the mill. So it's not where we can go in and watch the pageant, because believe me, I've gone to those pageants and they're really cool to go to. Janice does a great job as the moderator for those pageants. And it's a lot of fun to go listen to the girls. These girls are sharp. They are just, and they're wonderful. And the hundreds and hundreds of hours that they put into the community is just, they get an award from the governor every year and the president for the hours that they put in. And they're just an impressive batch of girls that go in there. And it's a great program. And if you want to get behind any kind of a program like Stevens, get behind Miss Aquafest. That's just one to get behind. But they are going to continue. They continued last year. They still did service projects all year during COVID. They were everywhere and socially distanced and masked up. So, but they did a great job. And they're going to continue this year, whether we have Aquafest or not. Miss Aquafest is going strong. So that'll be great. But to answer your question, fingers crossed, we're going to have an Aquafest.
Great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I'm open for any more questions. I can stick around. It's up to you guys. Whatever you got.
Awesome chat.
I actually have one more if you're sticking around. I know now I'm taking multiple, like Janice did.
So Monica, what I'm doing after this, I'm going to go back downtown to North Cove because they're
Okay.
moving the row building, and it's just fun to watch.
Oh, cool.
I'm headed down there too.
Yeah.
I might go down there too.
My quick question
It does
is,
sound like fun.
when we moved to Lake Stevens, we have a sewer lift station behind our home. So the city took care of that, and then it went to the Lake Stevens Sewer District, and now it's back to the city. So I don't know if there's any information you can shed on that change.
So it's not back to the city. It's still with the sewer district. The city is in an assumption process of the sewer district. Once a sewer district is, or once a special district is, Kim, what is it, 65% within the city, a city can assume it. And that's what we're doing right now with the sewer district, we would like to bring it into the city and to reduce costs, to take away a layer of government, and to just do some efficiencies between the two organizations. It is something that the sewer district is fighting, and they currently have a lawsuit against it. So we'll see how it moves forward.
Very good. Cool.
Anything else?
Last questions for the mayor?
It's either now or in another, what, 3 or 4 months, right, Matt?
Yeah. We've been really good about doing these quarterly, and I just want to say again, I really appreciate you, Mr. Mayor, of joining us and doing these with us, and they've been beneficial to the community being able to reach out and connect with you. So.
Well, I enjoy doing them, and I hope every single one of you know that anytime I'm out and about and you see me, please just strike up a conversation. I love talking to anybody, and if you see me in my black Jeep, it's all jacked up, just pull me over and say hi.
Excellent. Okay, I think that will wrap things up here. I'm gonna close us out here with a little bit.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you everyone for coming. Before you go, I want to remind you that we still have the Safe Start kits, the PPE kits available. These were put together by Snohomish County Department of Emergency Management. If you're a small business in the Greater Lake Stevens area, chamber member or not, and if you're in need of PPE, please reach out to me via email at director@LakeStevensChamber.com or give me a call, hit up our website. You can reach me that way. However, these kits are free, and they include all these items that you see here on the screen. It's got a sanitizer, it's got both disposable and reusable masks, gloves, and the infrared thermometer. That alone is worth the price of admission, I'm pretty sure. So if you need one of these, please reach out and we'll get one to you. Again, we want to thank our silver investors, Waste Management, Heritage Bank, Wells Fargo, and First Financial Northwest Bank. And our gold investors, Community Transit, and Ace Hardware Lake Stevens. Thank you again, everybody, for coming, and again, thanks, Brett, for being here today. We really appreciate it, and we will see you next month. Next month, we are lining up. I am in contact with and have tentatively scheduled Jerry Kornfeld from the Everett Herald. He's the legislative writer and reporter for the Herald. So hopefully he'll be here next. He's scheduled to be here next month, and we will see you all then. Hopefully, if we don't see you before, at one of our networking events. Thanks, everybody. Take care.